Next, for the most exciting part of our agenda, I'm going to talk to you about ODM, bylaws, and governance. But I make light. But the truth is that we're doing something really exciting with our organizational documents. And that is that when we created the ODM for our integrated organization, there were some cultural things to navigate between CSL and CSL, and so it was important to be redundant, to make the space for the new design that we were coming up with, and to talk about it in one section and talk about it in another section, and it helped. As you know, when they talk about marketing, right, you talk about it again and again and again, and you remessage, and I feel like that's what we did with our ODM. But it's been 12 years, and it was really time for us to take the organizational design model document and I want to say bring clarity to it so that it really was the inspirational document that it was meant to be. And so when Reverend Michelle said to me, we really need to work with this document to get all the bylaws out of the ODM, my response was, I don't have time. That's a big project. Are you sure? She reassured me that with the right help, it could be done, and she's right. And so this year we have taken the organizational design model document. We've looked for those places where all the bylaws were in 2 or more places, and we have consolidated and cleaned up the document so that when you go to the ODM, now of course, I want to pause for a minute because it sounds like it's done deal. And I want to remind you that the only way we can change our ODM and the only way that we can change our bylaws is with a vote. You may also have noticed that there are no resolutions on the docket this year, and that's because I knew that we could get some progress by the time we got to convention, but we needed some time to really engage all of you in the process. And so what I know about this, the ODM in this process is that we've done a lot of the legwork for us. We started with a team of volunteers, our vice chair, Linda Brimmer, and our and Reverend Sharon Mitchell, and they went through the ODM and they went through the bylaws and they came up with some suggested changes. We then brought it to our very capable legal committee, who was able to apply their expertise to really tightening up the language, making sure the things that were in the ODM were moved to the bylaws. And at this present state, we have 2, I'll call them prototype documents because they have not been voted in, that we will begin vetting with the larger community in April. I want to do a special shout out to Jeff Sinden, who many of you may remember was very instrumental in creating these documents to begin with. Thank you, Jeff. And also to Bridget McCann, who is recently, not too recently, but recently joined our legal committee, and she's also a lawyer that's licensed in Denver, which gives us a lot of depth in the state where we're organized. So the whole committee worked on it, but I want to say that those 2 worked on it most of all. If you're looking for the original documents that are they're still legally binding according to who we are. They are on our community under organizational resources, and you scroll down to the bottom to business administration, and you can read them as they stand now. This is the slide that I showed you earlier to describe the 3 governing documents that we work with. And then this is the schedule. So the legal committee thought that the best way to move through this project was to restate the ODM and to restate the bylaws because the changes were too voluminous. So we're going to have two documents that we're going to vet with the community. We'll start with the April 5th. You'll get the delegates will get the two documents that we have come up with, the ODM without the bylaws and the bylaws with all the things that were in the ODM that should have been in the bylaws. You'll have a chance to look at those. On April 15th, we will have that be the topic of our connection call. We'll have two Zoom calls, April 22nd and 25th, where we'll take feedback. These documents will be available to everyone, and we'll also take any suggestions. We were careful, though. You know how sometimes government comes up with a good idea, and then it goes to Congress, and everybody says, well, let's add this, and let's add that, and let's add this. We wanted to be really careful. We're not adding anything new. We're simply moving the bylaws items out of the ODM and into the bylaws, and we're not taking anything out. These things are just being relocated. But it's important that we, as I said earlier, in order to have shared leadership, we need to have trust. So we're going to be very transparent about this. We're going to make sure you're clear on it. We'll have those two meetings. If there's any additional changes, because fresh eyes, right? Those will be due by April 30th. There'll be a final distribution of the resolutions to restate the two documents. And then on May 20th, we'll have a morning and afternoon Zoom call to accommodate time zones with the delegates only to answer final questions. And then, since you signed up to be a delegate for this convention, you are a delegate all year. So we will be calling upon you to vote on the final ODM restatement and bylaws. We do have a question and answer section that's coming up later if you have any questions, but I'm really encouraged by this plan and this idea. And the last thing I'll say is when you read the ODM as it has been revised, I think you'll find it's a much more inspiring document. It really reflects our culture and our values, and it's not diluted by rules and regulations. We can find all that good stuff in the bylaws. So thank you very much.